Hi, here we have examples of the two different all-plastic Leman Russ kits that Games Workshop have produced for Warhammer 40,000 over the years. Here we have an unpainted one of the current generation. This is for an army that I'm still doing some work on, which is why it remains unpainted. And then here we actually have the first Leman Russ that I ever bought. This way back when second edition was the current edition of the rules. Although since then I have updated the smoke launchers to a more modern pattern. Now this tank was the first version released under second edition. The initial rules for the Leman Russ in Warhammer 40,000 came out in the form of a data card in, I believe it was the Dark Millennium box set, which contained a number of additional pieces of war gear and vehicle rules to those presented in the original second edition box set. Before this, the Imperial Guard used standard Imperial tanks as used by the Space Marines. There was only a limited number of kits Games Workshop could produce, so pretty much everybody used Rhinos, Predators and Land Raiders. Or at least they did in Warhammer 40,000. In epic scale, things were a bit different. Games Workshop can make far more vehicles cast out of lead at a much smaller scale. So you got a much greater variety. And in fact, there was a Leman Russ during the days of the Rogue Trader version of Warhammer 40,000 that was done for the epic scale rules. And here it is. This tank is included in the 1991 Citadel catalogue. And I'm not sure if you'll be able to see, if I can bring it close enough, that the pattern is somewhat different to the plastic kit that was later released for Warhammer 40,000. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I took this little model and I scaled it up to Warhammer 40,000 scale and I produced a Rogue Trader version of the Leman Russ. Of course, I didn't just leap straight into putting together bits of plasticard to create my Rogue Trader Vintage Leman Russ. I started out by making a rough sketch of what I wanted the tank to look like, and I based this off the scale of the current Leman Russ kit to get it about the right size. So here we have a side elevation of the overall tank, and then I did another couple of basic line drawings to compare the sizes of the outer track sections and the central hull. Going from there, I then made myself a simple cardboard prototype, so I wasn't again wasting any plastic card, and I could try and get a feel for what the model looked like in 3 dimensions. And only after that did I go on to making a model out of plastic card. Perhaps though I should have done a second card prototype, because here's how far I got with the plastic card model before I decided I'd actually done it wrong, and these outer sections needed to be longer, and in fact the hull needed to be a little bit longer and tapered at the back as well. So after I abandoned this, I then moved on to a second generation of plasticard models. And the second generation of plastic model is what you can see here. And you see that largely this is made of plasticard, all cut to size and shape, with some plain plastic tubing used to create many of the weapons. Although I have decorated it with some small parts to create finer details. For example, we've got pieces of mains flex here at the side and at the rear. Then the spring elements visible down here are ribbon cable. There's some plain copper wire here at the base of this las cannon. And then the ball turret on the front of the hull is just a button. There are also several Games Workshop components that I've used on this, and I decided I was going to keep to parts that were available during the Rogue Trader days. So on the turret we have got a top hatch and smoke launchers from a Rhino. The headlight bar is also taken from a Rhino. Then I have a shoulder pad here from the RTB-01 set, and that was taken from an arm that was holding a bolt pistol. And then finally, I have turned to the Space Marine Strike Force set, and I've taken a pair of the bolt guns, chopped off the grips, the magazines, and the stocks to produce the heavy bolters that go on the side of this tank, and also taken another couple of the shoulder pads and placed them on the back here for this detail. Then on the turret again, the cupola itself is just made from a plain 25mm base. Now there are 3 Games Workshop parts on this that weren't available during Rogue Trader, and they are these dome sections here where the heavy bolters are mounted, and similarly the dome section on top of the hull mounted las cannon fitting, and these are cut from the tops of the current generation of Games Workshop paints, but because I'm only using them for the shape and not specific details, I was happy for those because I could have created those again from a button or something like that. The shape would be the same. So that is my Warhammer 40,000 scale Leman Russ Rogue Trader design. I didn't quite stop there though, because I didn't just want one, I wanted an entire squadron. And you'll notice I've detailed them slightly different. The one in the centre obviously is intended to be a command tank, so I have made a Vox set out of a bit of plastic sprue. This is from the original Land Raider kit, so again I'm keeping to Rogue Trader vintage parts there, and then it's just a bit of copper wire up and an original plastic Imperial Guardsman. And then on this third tank I've given it a dozer blade, and this features a lucky find really. In some spare parts that I got off eBay, I managed to get the dozer blade from the original Rogue Trader vintage Land Raider kit, and so that means that each of these tanks is unique and all use correct Rogue Trader vintage parts. And now I'm ready to paint them. I have painted these tanks in a base coat of Zandri Dust Spray, then given that a coating of Seraphim Sepia Wash to give it a nice sort of desert brown I've gone for with my Rogue Trader Vintage Imperial Guard Army. And in addition to some of the other colours I've used for the details, I have also put serial numbers on the hulls, and these are taken from the original Land Raider transfer sheet, and let me tell you, trying to use 30-year-old water slide transfers is not easy, and I almost destroyed all the transfers in the process of applying them. But now I have my squadron of 3 Rogue Trader vintage design Leman Russes ready to field on a battlefield. A standard battle cannon in the turret, a las cannon in the hull, heavy bolters in the sponsons, and then the ball turret at the front of the hull I'm going to say is going to count as a heavy stubber. So it could have been the pintle mounted weapon on the more modern kits. And of course they will be joined by my scratch built Baneblade and the squadron of Sentinels that have appeared in my earlier Rogue Trader Imperial Guard video. And I hope you enjoyed watching this today. Thanks for watching. Bye.